Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. This is the weekly comic book review. It's the show I read a lot of comic books and I let you know what I thought about them, and we always start with the pick of the week. And this week's pick of the week, Transformers number 5. Y'all, again, another Energon Universe book, another Transformers book making the pick of the week. There's some really great comics out this week. There's some good stuff. It's a huge week with lots of good stuff, but I just keep getting blown away by what Daniel Warren Johnson is doing in the pages of Transformers. Heck, I keep getting blown away with what everybody's doing in the Energon universe. They are bringing a level of excitement back into comic books. There's so many people that keep coming into my shop week after week, hearing about these books, Transformers, Duke, Cobra Commander, Void Rivals, and they're getting into them, and then they come back and they want more, and they're signing up for all of it. Now, the same type of stuff's being done right now with the Ultimate books over at Marvel, so right now we got a surge of enthusiasm in this comic book industry, but Transformers is one of the key reasons why. Daniel Warren Johnson has a passion for this property, he has a passion for comic books, and it comes across on the page. It is intensely dynamic. It is exceptionally nuanced in a dramatic and profound type way. It is a Transformers book that feels familiar, but also very unique and different and exciting all on its own. The artwork is amazing. Big, bombastic action, great perspective, excellent and kinetic angles, emotional beats, and an ending to this issue that just blew me away. It just ignites the inner fanboy inside of me, that child, that sense of wonder, that sense of amazement of what comic books can be. And this is an issue number 5. If you can keep that excitement, if you can keep that momentum generated for 5 consecutive issues, that is something that's not done with a lot of comic books today. This book has it all. I highly encourage you, even if you are not a Transformers fan, but if you're a fan of heroism, if you're a fan of great characters, if you're a fan of great comic books that are highly fueled with action, definitely check out Transformers. I do believe this is one of the absolute best comics on shelves today and maybe in years. Transformers just keeps blowing me away. Loved that issue. But we also got a new one from Image, The Infernals, issue number 1. This is written by Ryan Parrott and Noah Gardner, with artwork by John J. Pearson and Lola Bonato, Hassan Osman El Howe on the lettering. First up, the art is gorgeous. Pearson does such a great job. It's kind of got this like Martin Simmons, Bill Sienkiewicz kind of vibe to it, but it's definitely its own thing. Beautiful colors, great exceptional use of the space on the page, whether it's a tight 9-panel grid or a big double-page spread like this. But this is also a really cool story. The story is this. So the Antichrist is born, he gets old, finds out he's got cancer, he's going to die. He's going to die before his mission as the Antichrist is completed. Therefore, it's up to him to determine which of his 3 children will become the heir to his Antichrist powers. Really cool concept, really well done. The story was well laid out, the dialogue was top-notch, and the artwork was absolutely exceptional. So in The Infernals really took me by surprise. Then we got Dutch, issue number 1. This is from Joe Casey and Simon Gain. This was a really great throwback comic, but it felt new at the same time. So Dutch is a character created by Chappie Up back in the days. He was in the Youngblood books. He had this silly headgear thing going on. I don't know. It was weird. It was wild and it was wacky. And what's even weirder and wilder and wackier to me is that Joe Casey is coming in to take Dutch, age him in real time. So he's aged like 30 years, and this is kind of like him coming out of retirement, his final mission, because his past just won't leave him alone. This one had a really great sense of been there, done that. We're getting too old for this shit. Danny Glover type stuff. I really like that characterization and personification of this character. I loved the artwork. It's kind of frantic. It kind of feels rushed. It's kind of angular, but it really adds to the intensity of the action scenes for me. I liked the internal monologue of Dutch, kind of grounding the character, growing the character up, but still having it being rooted in that extreme comic Comics type stuff. So Dutch #1 really won for me. Now, this is spinning out of a short story that was done in the Image 30th anniversary special that was collected last month, I believe, as Dutch #0. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out, and then jump into issue #1. Really great stuff from Joe Casey and company there. The Cabinet #1 is here. This one just did not do it for me. It's about these portals in these cabinets and takes you to other worlds. The story is really kind of all over the place. The art is decent, but it kind of gets muddy and unclear, and so does the story. It's very cloudy. So I'm reading this book, and even throughout the book, I'm just getting bored with it. I'm getting confused by it. It just did not really hit that concept or that execution quite right for me. So Cabinet was just a one and done for me. Didn't really dig on that one. Then we got Creepshow, Joe Hill's Wolverton Station. This is a one-shot special edition co-written by Joe Hill. It's written by Joe Hill and Jason Ciamella with Michael Walsh on the artwork. The artwork is great. Michael Walsh, of course, is the artist of The Silver Coin. Where's that book been? That's a book that needs to come back. But this is about a dude who collects rare horror movie memorabilia. He rips people off for it. He's out there trying to find the wolf head cane from the original Wolfman movie. And on his journey, he keeps coming across werewolves. And he kind of goes crazy over it. I don't know. It was kind of simple and it was kind of silly. It didn't really do much for me. I liked the artwork, but I was slightly disappointed, especially with Joe Hill's name attached to it. Then we got The Deviant here with issue #4, I believe. Yes, issue #4 of The Deviant. James Tynan IV with artwork by... It's Hickson, right? Hickson. Joshua Hickson, yes. Joshua Hickson, Hassan Osman El Hal. Love the artwork, love the coloring, love the gutter space, you love the usage of the flow of the story and the panel design and the composition. And I really like this story. It's about this writer. He's making a comic book. He wants to base it on this series of murders from a serial killing Santa Claus who they believe is this dude they caught who's a gay man, but it may not actually be him. And so this dude's getting into this story, trying to uncover everything, but also trying to uncover the journey of gay men in the 70s and how that kind of relates to him being framed or set up for this murder series. It has a really big cliffhanger at the end, which I don't think is quite what it seems, but I love this book. I love the exploration of its themes, the exploration of the story and the character, the madness into trying to understand the roots and heritage of your identity. Really liking this book. The Deviant #4 soars. Petrol Head is here with issue #4. This is a weaker issue of this series, but it does have very bright and vibrant colors. It's got some really great artwork, but it is a little bit of a lull in the story. Slows up just a little bit. But this is a world in which robots were programmed to be race car drivers, basically. Think of Wacky Races or something like that, but with robots. They've been decommissioned, and now a robot is out of his decommissioned state to help this little girl solve the problem of the pollutions in the world. It's got some cool stuff. This issue, though, just a little bit of a step down as far as its level of sophistication or even excitement, right? So that was just all right. Then we got Blood Commandment, issue #4, a very satisfying conclusion to this vampire story that was really an exploration of faith, of family, of sacrifice. And I really think all those themes come together incredibly well here in the conclusion of Blood Commandment. It was a really interesting take on a vampire story, like I said, rooted in faith and family, and not in a silly way, but in a very real, grounded, human kind of way. Great artwork, great sense of design. There are some pages that are very wordy and verbose, but they lead into these pages of just intense, horrific action and really cool, gnarly stuff with the artwork, especially with the coloring. Really like this book. Another solid solo job from Szymon Kudranski. Then we've got I Hate Fairyland, issue #11. This issue was basically one big fart joke. But when it comes to I Hate Fairyland, that's okay. I'm loving this series, having a lot of fun with it. One of the big villains of this series is this witch named Claudia, and she winds up going to the real world, and her troubles in the real world were really what made this book soar. It really made it funny. It wasn't just the fart joke stuff. The fart joke stuff's kind of okay. It involves Taylor Swift. But Scotty Young and his company doing exactly what they need to be doing with I Hate Fairyland, which is making a crude, rambunctious, and irreverent comic book that's just straight up fun. Then we got Our Bones Dust issue number 3. This is from Ben Stenbeck. I really like his artwork. First got into him when he was doing Baltimore with Mike Mignola, so I was excited to see him kind of go out on his own, do his own story, writing and illustrating. Our Bones Dust issue number 1 didn't really do much for me, but issue number 2 really pulled me in. Issue number 3 keeps me in, really getting into this story, this young girl in this post-apocalyptic world trying to survive in a reality where there's groups of people that are like cannibalistic in some kind of weird ritualistic way, and then there's this like biomechanical alien thing, and it all kind of like, how is it all tying together? You get the tie together here at issue number 3 and a setup for where the series is going to develop, and I really liked it. So Our Bones Dust number 3 I liked a lot. Scorched issue number 26. This is the issue of Scorched that leads into Spawn 350. So we got to kind of quickly wrap up the story that we're in, which is the Vindicator's sister, the Viscerator, something like that. She's coming back. The Viscerator's coming back, but we kind of step a little bit away from that story to kind of try to bring Haunt back into the fold, to then just usurp everything by Spawn showing up at the end being like, hey, join me in Spawn 350 real quick. So this was definitely not my favorite issue of Scorched, and Scorched has probably been the weaker of the Spawn books so far, but for $2.99 cardstock cover, still a great deal. Let's jump over to DC. We got Sinister Sons, issue number 1. This is Peter J. Tomasi, and La Fuente, it's David La Fuente on the artwork. You might remember him from Ultimate Comics Spider-Man back in the day, right before the death of Ultimate Spider-Man, before the Miles Morales stuff. Art's cool and it's cutesy. This book is the son of Sinestro and the son of Zod kind of flung together into an adventure. This is spinning out of the backup stories from Green Lantern. We were introduced to this son of Sinestro character, and then in the recent Kneel Before Zod series, we see where Zod's son kind of gets sent on this journey, but it's basically Super Sons, but like the evil version of it, but a little bit more playful, a little bit more fun, a little bit more silly, but I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was a pretty decent book, so if you like that Super Son stuff, if you want that vibe, but you want it done in a little bit of a sillier but more villainy kind of way, check out Sinister Sons if you liked Super Sons. I thought it was cool. Then we got Red Hood the Hill, issue number 1. This is written by Sean Martinborough, who was the artist of one of my favorite runs of Detective Comics right after No Man's Land wrapped up, which is basically Escape from New York, but with Gotham. No Man's Land was cool. Came out in 1999. Every Batman book throughout that whole year kind of tied into it. I liked it, but afterwards, Greg Rucka took over the Detective Comics run with Sean Martinborough on the artwork. Did this like monochromatic kind of style to it, and I absolutely love that. That is one of the most underappreciated Batman Detective Comics runs out there. They did collect it in a trade paperback called New Gotham Volume 1 and 2. Don't know if that's still in print. Probably not, knowing how things go, but I highly encourage you to check out the Greg Rucka, Sean Martinborough Detective Comics run. That being said, Red Hood the Hill was just kind of alright. This is also spinning out of a series of Red Hood backups that were from, I can't remember if it was Batman or Detective Comics, but it was one of those, right? But basically Jason he's got like this team in this neighborhood called The Hill. He's got this team of vigilantes. He's trying to take care of things. It's decent enough. The artwork by Sanford Green is great, and the story is good, but I did feel a little bit disconnected. Maybe it's been a while since I read those one-shot or those backup stories. Now, they did just do a 0 issue that collected those, and I skipped out on reading them because I was like, I've already read it. I probably should have read that before I jumped into that. Probably would have helped me appreciate this a little bit more, but for now, it was just alright. Then we got Batman 143, Joker Year 1, issue number 2. Some really great striking pages from artist Andrea Sorrentino. Kaminculli does the rest of it, and it's decent and it's fine. It works as like a sequel to 0 Year. It is the origin or the year 1 of the Joker after he comes out of that vat of acid. What are the next steps that the Joker takes? This is it. He has one of Batman's previous trainers offering to train him, to train the fear of Batman out of him so he can finally become this agent of chaos to be the perfect counterbalance to Batman's Agent of Order, right? So some interesting ideas being played with there, plus Chip Zdarsky, the writer, straight up solves very quickly the mystery of the three Jokers. How is it happening? How's that all to be? It all kind of gets wrapped up here very quickly and kind of undercutting some of the stuff in the Three Jokers graphic novel, but whatever. Some interesting enough ideas, but I still haven't completely been won over by the series, but the Andrea Sorrentino bits, those are freaking awesome. There's one of the pages right there. Just absolutely beautiful, beautiful stuff. Then we've got Action Comics 1062, the second issue of Jason Aaron's I, Bizarro storyline. Bizarro shows up in the last issue. Since he has opposite powers of Superman, he's empowered by magic. So he goes to this planet filled with magic, steals all that energy, comes and unleashes his magic on Metropolis, starts turning the population of Metropolis into Bizarros. We've seen this kind of story before, but the first issue of this story really delivered it in a very exciting way. The second one slows that down just a little bit. It kind of does a little bit of more paint by the numbers kind of thing. It's decent, it's got some cool bits, it's got some great ideas, but there are moments in here where it does kind of get bogged down a little bit by just kind of being a little bit too wordy or not paced right. So there was something off with the pace here. The art was fine too, but there were other times where it felt a little bit too cluttered, not really free and bombastic like the previous issue did, but it was still a decent issue, and I got to meet Jason Aaron at MegaCon, got to talk to him about this book, also some of his other works like Once Upon a Time at the End of the World or Punisher. So Jason Aaron, super cool dude. He's from Alabama, so there you go. But Action Comics 1062 was pretty solid. Then we got Batman and Robin issue number 5. A nice kind of like one-and-done self-contained story that's firmly placed within the larger narrative. So it's a building block into what's going on, which is basically Damian thinks that one of the teachers at his school is one of his former trainers, as well as the villain Shush. So he is undercover at school trying to figure out if this person is an evil villainess, right? But also in this one, you got him and Batman on this mission where this kid who thinks that he's Victor Zsasz' son is trying to save him, but it's all connected to everything. But it was a decent issue. It's been fun. I like what Josh Williamson's doing in the pages of Batman and Robin, and he's utilizing the relationship, the father-son dynamic of Batman and Robin, Damian and Bruce. He's utilizing that in a way different way than other people do. It's not cliche, and even though it feels like it could be leaning or going into a cliched kind of path, it quickly kind of comes out of that. So Josh Williamson's doing a really great job with these characters and their relationships to each other. Then we got Outsiders issue number 4. This is introducing us to the spirit of the 21st century. Now, if you are familiar with the Warren Ellis work on Authority and even Planetary, and this is a big continuation of of Planetary, basically, in the DC universe with Luke Fox, with Kate Kane, and a new version of the drummer, and now we got a new spirit of the 21st century. I am kind of annoyed that they went beyond the Jenny Quantum stuff. Why didn't you just do Jenny Quantum and continue that? You know what? That's another reality, so that's fine. So we get a different version of the spirit of the century here. I really liked it. I really like the structure of this issue. It does feel like a Warren Ellis, John Cassidy Planetary book. They're all self-contained stories that are all building up some big mystery, and I really love how they're able to take that vibe and flow of Planetary and apply it into the DC universe and make it feel like it belongs in the DC universe and not just a complete ripoff, but something that's not just an homage, but a continuation of the themes and the story threads laid out in Planetary. So Outsiders number 4, I'm still digging it. Then we got Green Lantern here. Green Lantern issue number 8. I got this variant cover. They're calling them the sweater weather covers. They're basically bathing suit covers. Jessica looking pretty good there. But we were shorted our cover A's, but that's what cover A looks like right there. But Jeremy Adams has been doing a really great job in the pages of Green Lantern, and the scale of what's going on gets widened even more here in the latest issue. There is somebody going after the central power batteries for all of the core. You start finding some clues out in this issue, who that might be, what organization that might be. And it makes this book even more intriguing and compelling. Jeremy Adams has been doing a hell of a job with Green Lantern, and that is no exception here in issue number 8. And Jessica Cruz, Baby got back. All right, Wesley Dodd Sandman is here with issue number 5, the penultimate issue of this series, going back to the new Golden Age, because we got the Golden Age characters, but sometimes you go back and read those books and it just doesn't, you read them and you got to read them in with the context of the times, right? So what I love is that since Jeff Johns has re-energized the Golden Age at DC, we've had the opportunity to develop some of these characters through a different lens in a more modern approach, but in these classic type stories. This one with Wesley Dodds, he develops his gas for war, right? So he thinks that he's trying to come out with a non-lethal form to engage in warfare. But along the way of developing his sleeping gas, he has developed gases that are very toxic, that are very deadly and lethal, right? And somebody wants them, and somebody's got them, and this whole story's been leading up to all this. So you got a big revelation in this issue. Riley Rossmo, the art totally fits for this, and I'm really digging it. Wasn't digging it in the first issue, but it's really kind of felt... It's really grabbed me in the last few issues. It's pulpy, it's fresh, but it's fun, and it feels rooted in a classic sense of storytelling. Wesley Dodds Sandman, I really like that one. Then we got the final issue of Batman City of Madness by Christian Ward, Hassan Osman El Howe. Amazing artwork. Amazing artwork. So the basic premise of this book is this. There is another Gotham below Gotham. So there's the Gotham above and the Gotham below. Think like the Upside Down in Stranger Things, right? And the Gotham below is like a very Lovecraftian place of madness and tentacled monsters where everything is a really, really mad reflection of what's on the top. Batman has to go down there because the Batman from below came up to the Gotham from above and stole a kid, took him down there to try to make him his own Robin. But it's a great exploration on madness, Arkham Asylum, Bruce's psyche, and how it all relates together in a very Lovecraftian way with such beautiful, gorgeous artwork. It's so freaking cool. Highly recommend it. Great satisfying conclusion, great cover, but not the cover of the week. We'll get to that. Let's jump over to Marvel. And from Marvel, we have Night Thrasher issue number 1. All right, full disclosure here, y'all. I'm like the world's hugest fan of Night Thrasher. I was like 11, 12 years old when the New Warriors first started, and I ate that shit up. And I thought Night Thrasher was the coolest thing. He had sophisticated armor, he had these cool batons, he had an attitude, he was the leader of his own team that I loved, and he had a skateboard. His first appearance, this dude's going up against the Juggernaut with just 2 sticks and a skateboard. That's balls, man. That is some awesome stuff. So I'm a huge fan of Dwayne Taylor, the Night Thrasher. They killed him off in Civil War. We were Dwayne-less for a long time. They brought him back. They haven't really utilized him since. What I do like about this book is that it continues his story as feeling out of place since he's been brought back from the dead. He doesn't feel like he belongs. There's lots of tie-ins to previous New Warrior stuff. Silhouette is in this issue. Some really great stuff. Some other New Warriors characters are in this issue. But I will say this. I'm severely disappointed. Now, was I expecting this book to blow me away? No. But I just wanted it to kind of scratch that itch, which is to have Night Thrasher back in my life a little bit, and it at least did that. But there's some decisions that are made in here, especially regarding the villain. By the way, the villain's called the OG. Okay. But the identity of that villain, come on, get out of here. Like, there's a better way to do these kind of things. Anyway, I was bothered by that part of the story. I liked the exploration on what Dwayne was thinking and feeling since his resurrection, the feeling that he didn't belong, but it never really quite fully connected, and the book had a weird kind of pace to it, and then when they get to that big revelation of who the villain is, I was insulted. I was just insulted. Straight up insulted. But there is some nice care that's being thread in here about the New Warriors. Also, the art was just kind of okay. Didn't really work for me, so I was disappointed in this, but you know what? This is the problem with some of us comic book fans. I'm buy every issue of this. I'm going to buy every issue of this Night Thrasher book because I need Night Thrasher. By the way, I got a plan for Night Thrasher. It's not a 5-year plan. I don't think anybody could have a 5-year run on Night Thrasher, but I got a good 5-issue plan for Night Thrasher. It's connected to my 5-year plan for Blade. Marvel, if you ever want to give me a call. Some really cool covers for this. There's a Trad Moore cover and also the Marvel Masterpieces Volume 3 Hildebrandt variant right there, which I had to get because I'm a sucker for Night Thrasher. The book is not good, though. I would recommend that to the biggest of the biggest nerds for Night Thrasher, which include me, Fabian Icieza, Mark Bagley, and I think maybe 3 other people. All right, then we got Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, issue number 1. This is basically a continuation of the Scarlet Witch series because it is written by Steve Orlando. So it's the same writer, the same setup. She's got that magic shop. She's got Darcy there, but it's got Quicksilver. So they get this package from Magneto, who's allegedly dead, but we know he's coming back now because there's that book, Resurrection of Magneto, whatever. So there's this package. Scarlet Witch opens it. She won't read it to Pedro. Pedro's like, Pedro's like, what does it say? She's like, I'm gonna save you the pain. It is melodramatic as hell. It is over the top, so it just didn't work for me. A lot of Steve Orlando books, maybe they can work better in trade for me, but issue to issue, it just does not work. There's too much melodrama. The writing is like bad television writing as far as the dialogue goes, and I think Steve Orlando's a cool dude, but I just not digging on this book, so I'm probably going to be out of that one. Then we got Vengeance of the Moon Knight, issue number 2. There's a new Moon Knight in town because Mark Spector died at the end of his last series, but his Midnight Mission is continuing on. So all of those secondary characters are continuing Mark's mission, and then a new Moon Knight shows up, and he is not friendly with them. Now, we still don't know the identity of this new Moon Knight, but we get some interesting ideas about how he uses the powers of the moon slightly differently, and I liked it. I liked this issue. A big good focus on Tigra too. Tigra's been utilized in the Jed McKay Moon Knight run, but not quite in the level that he utilizes her in here. We're actually getting into that character, getting into her psyche, into her emotional state, and I like that. Plus, you just got some big, bombastic, awesome comic book artwork that's dynamic, some really cool coloring where things look like they're glowing and it's ethereal, and Moon Knight's just... Jed McKay's done the impossible. He's made a Moon Knight book that was intriguing for more than 12 issues. Aside from the original stuff, seriously, nobody's ever able to do that. Miles Morales' Spider-Man is here with issue number 16. This is the final part of Miles' tie-in to the gang war. Now, I do like how Cody Ziegler is threading some of the story stuff that he's been building up to in the pages of Miles Morales. He's threading it along with the gang war stuff, but I do hate that it's kind of forced to be tied in, because Miles has had some really good stuff in this run, but so much of it gets bogged down by having to tie into Dark Web. I don't know if it did actually, but tying into Carnage, having a Blade crossover, having the Gang War crossover. But it's nice that there are those threads being kept alive. Artwork is super awesome. The story's fine. I like this Hobgoblin Miles rivalry. I feel like Hobgoblin has the potential to be a really good arch nemesis for Miles Morales, as long as we continue to get that animosity between the two developed by Cody Ziegler. But I've heard rumors that this book is going to be axed very, very soon to make way for Cody going over Deadpool, but we shall see, because this has been a really solid Miles Morales book. Then we got Amazing Spider-Man issue number 43, the penultimate issue of Gang War. It's going to be concluded in the pages of, what is it? It's like Amazing Spider-Man 44 maybe. And yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 44 is where it concludes. I'm surprised we don't have a Gang War Omega, Gang War Epilogue, Gang War Finale, but don't be surprised if they do one of those 6 months later for no reason out of the blue. Everything's coming to a head with the Gang War. Spider-Man's been an inconsistent book. We got John Romita Jr. on the artwork here, and I really have pinned down what I don't like about Romita's artwork here. I've talked about the coloring before, talked about how the work just seems too simple. That's what it is. Recently on Rockin' Robbie Live, we've been going through on Marvel in the 90s, Punisher Warzone, with artwork by John Romita Jr., inked by Klaus Janson. I've also recently, not too long ago, was reading through some of the Thor stuff that John Romita Jr. did with Klaus Janson. Also his Daredevil work with Al Williamson. I've been flipping through some of that stuff. I think Sky Hanna is a good inker, but right now, inking Romita Jr. today, the line work is too simple. The coloring is off because it's trying to mold these awkward shapes that Romita has, these very blocky shapes for people, and the coloring's trying to mold that, and the line work for the ink is just too simple, and there's no texture in it at all. John Romita Jr.'s artwork is better, in my opinion, when he has a very densely gritty and textured inker like Klaus Janson, Al Williamson, heck, even Dan Green or something like that. But Amazing Spider-Man 43 has a really intriguing ending that I like, but the rest of it is just kind of okay. Then we got Fall of the House of X, issue number 2. I really was going to try to stick through the Fall of the House of X and the Rise of the Powers of 10, but honestly, I've been so disconnected from the X-Men book since Hickman's left. I'm confused, and I don't even care. I'm reading this book, and I'm like, I don't understand necessarily what's happening here, but I don't really care to find out. I just want this Krakoan era to end so we can get a new start for the X-Men and hopefully bring some revitalization back into that property. But with everything I'm hearing about what they're planning, it's not looking good. But anyway, Fall of the House of X number 2 is here. Wasn't for me, but maybe it's for you. But Blade is for me. Blade issue number 8. Brian Hill's doing the impossible. He's making a Blade book that's insistently awesome 8 issues through. Now, there's a little bits of coloring in this one that I think are a little bit muddy, murky, kind of unclear. But aside from that, I'm loving this story. I'm loving how this is setting everything up, possibly leading into some Blood Hunt stuff. I don't know. But basically, Blade has unleashed a monster on the world, and he's trying to go around and get whatever help he can to figure out how to resolve this issue. He's retrained, I should say, with Dracula. In this one, he enlists the help of Satana, which is really cool to see that character. Blade has to go to hell. That's what happens here in the pages of Blade number 8 and some tie-ins to issue number 1. Hill's doing a great job there. Let's jump over to Boom Studios. We got a new one, The Displaced. This is written by Ed Brisson with artwork by Luca Casalanguida. Artwork is fine. Story is fine. Really interesting book. This might be your sleeper hit of the week. I was really shocked and surprised by this one. So it's about this town in Canada, and there's an earthquake, and then the town just gets swallowed up in the sinkhole. Sinkhole closes, the memory of the town gets erased. And it's been happening to many towns throughout the world. Very interesting concept, but what I really liked about it was the structure of this story. It's got a few characters that they're balancing and bringing together, splitting apart, bringing back together, and the dialogue and those personalities are so distinct, but the dialogue is distinct from person to person too. It's really got some great stuff. The Displaced was a really solid book, and I will also award it the smell of the week, but really cool book. And also there's this one crazy old guy who knows about this stuff. It's really cool, like kind of mystery with some nice like emotional stuff. Then we got Blue Book 1947, issue number 1. This is the second volume of Blue Book, but we go back a little bit to 1947, and you know that that's the year that the flying saucer craze really took off. So in an unsolved mysteries type way, what this Blue book does is James Tynion is basically just laying out the cases and the facts as they can be known in these situations. So in 1947, the rise of the flying saucers, Roswell's going to happen that year, but we're going to start with the first dude who sees something and describes it as a flying saucer. Michael Avon Oeming on the artwork. This does not read like a very exciting comic with a good flow. Like I said, it's kind of like an unsolved mysteries type thing where it's just narrated, but it's done very, very well. I'm big into UFO stuff, so I eat this stuff up. There's a backup story about these cannibals that's actually pretty cool, written by Zach Thompson with some really cool artwork from, is it Fullerton? Who is that? Yeah, Gavin Fullerton. So I like it. If you like UFO stuff, definitely check it out. And I'm awarding this David Mack variant the cover of the week because I love UFOs, I love David Mack, I love comics. 3 of my favorite things right here on a great cover. And at a very close second. And I didn't get it because it's like a 1 in 25 for Dutch, and that there's not going to be a lot of those out. But Jim Ruggs got a variant cover for Dutch number 1. That I want so bad. Hopefully he'll have some at Heroes Con, but I will give the cover of the week to David Mack on Blue Book 1947. I love that. Also from Dark Horse and kind of James Tynion, The Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos, issue number 7. This book could have ended and wrapped up at issue number 6, and I would have been very satisfied. Kind of an updated version of the universal monster tropes and archetypes, but done in a very modern way for the youth, and I really vibe and feel with this book and these characters, and I mean, it's based on classic monsters. It's based on lifestyles. It's really an interesting book, but it is continuing. And what we're doing in issue number 7 is we're telling the story of Frankenstein, the doctor who made the monster, and it's a really interesting take on the story of Victor Frankenstein with a little bit of a queer lens to it, and that's what this book has been doing, and I've been appreciating it. So The Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos, issue number 7, continues to soar. Vampirella is here with issue number 666. Christopher Priest is still writing it, but it promises to be a new jumping on point, and every time Christopher Priest launches a new Vampirella number 1, or 666, I jump in and I try to read it and see if I can follow. I just can't follow it. It just seems a little bit too silly. It seems a little bit too Sex in the City at times. I don't know. Maybe if I've been reading it from the beginning, I could really appreciate everything, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world of Vampirella that I'm just like, that's where we're going, but, you know, it's all right. The artwork was a little bit static, sexy at times, but a bit static, so it didn't really win me over. And once again, I just don't know if I can stick with the Christopher Priest Vampirella stuff, though I love Christopher Priest's work on other things, like including Black Panther. I don't think you can see them, but they're over there. Nope, they're down there. I've moved them. They're down there now. You definitely can't see them. All right, also from Dynamite, we have Alice Cooper, issue number 5. This is the final issue of the Rodney Barnes Pin series, where Alice Cooper is fighting for his soul in a music battle against the devil. I loved this book. It's silly. It's not that great, but it understands what it is, and it's not trying to be anything that it's not. And I really like this ending. And I like Alice Cooper's reflective nature in this book, thinking about him, his legacy, fighting along with the devil, stuff like that. So Alice Cooper, I had a lot of fun with that series. Then we got Faceless and the Family, issue number 4, the final issue for now, because Matt Lesniewski does promise that this book will continue, and I hope so, because I've had so much fun with this book. It's been a really great tale, filled with allegory, filled with metaphor, and also filled with just amazing artwork. And in this final issue, just no exception. The only thing that I do not like about this book is the lettering is way too small and thin. And maybe it's because I'm getting older, but, you know, under this light, I can read it a little bit better. But in the living room, I was having some trouble reading some of this dialogue. But the artwork was amazing. It's very, elastic and tubular. Really great stuff. I've loved this. A very satisfying conclusion and setup for more, because there is a family at the end of this that Faceless has, and I want to see more adventures of that family. All right, then we got Usagi Yojimbo, Ice and Snow, issue number 5, the final issue for now. There's a new one on the way. But one of the things I love about Stan Sakai and his Usagi Yojimbo, even if he has a miniseries, this basically wrapped up last issue. So what is this? This is a self-contained story. Another really good, haunting, ghost, demon-type story for Usagi Yojimbo. They have to get some refuge from a house. They're cold, they're hungry, they let them in, they share hospitality with them, but there's something about this community that's a little spooky. Just a really great, excellently done, self-contained Usagi Yojimbo story. I've told y'all this book's been going on for 40 years. Stan Sakai's always just killed it on this book. He's such a great cartoonist. And if you've never read Usagi Yojimbo, just grab this issue, issue 5 of Ice and Snow. You ain't got to read anything that came before. This is just going to show you what Stan Sakai can do 40 years into a run. It's exceptional. Usagi Yojimbo is amazing. So last week, this book came out. We were shorted. Finally got my copies of Beneath the Trees, Where Nobody Sees, issue number 3. Absolutely loved it. What a treat this book has been out of nowhere. Really cool, cutesy, storybook kind of artwork, but it is straight up a crime story. It's about a serial killer in a small town, and then somebody else has killed somebody in her town. See, she's super smart, and they're all animals. They're like storybook animals, so she's like a bear. She goes to other towns. She finds somebody that she doesn't know. She kills them. She does her little thing. She goes back to her town. Nobody ever knows. Now somebody in her town is committing very public murders, and she's worried it's going to throw the attention on her, so now she's trying to solve the murder. You take out all the silly animal stuff, all the storybook art, and it just is a really great crime serial killer comic. You add that in, and it adds a sense of novelness to it. I love this book. It's so freaking good, and it's also chilling and tragically nuanced in the absolute best ways. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, that was out last week, but I finally read it this week. All right, here's one I haven't read yet, but I want to let you know that it's out. Maybe we'll talk about it on a separate video, but Penthouse Comics has relaunched. So we got Penthouse Comics, issue number 1, and in here we got work from Gilliam March. We got artist Jeff here. I don't know any of these other people. I just know Gilliam March. Can I show you any of these pages? I can show you that page. I looked through the art, very European, very cool, very reminiscent of Penthouse Comics. You know, not that I remember Penthouse Comics or anything, but yes, sexy, erotic comic books. And there's even a nudie spread in the back, like a real nudie spread. So, you know, grab this, put it under your mattress, read it before you go to bed, if you want to. All right, some collections that are out I want to spotlight. Out this week is Howard Chaykin's Times Squared Omnibus. Nice $35 hardcover from Image Comics. Times Squared was a book that he did, introduced in American Flag, did 2 series, and then there's a 3rd series that's brand new, a finale that's in here. I've never read any of this stuff. I like Howard Chaykin, so I wanted to check this out. Maybe we'll read it and do a separate video for it. But it says, in addition to remastered versions of the project's debut and American Flag special and its long out-of-print first 2 volumes, The Epiphany and The Satisfaction of Black Maria, the Times Squared Omnibus completes the trilogy with a new 48-page Hallowed Ground plus many never-before-seen extras from the project. I know that Howard Chaykin, we're friends on Facebook, he's been talking about this for months and months. He's very excited to see this, to have this see print finally, so I wanted to pick it up and check it out. And Tom Richmond, who is a longtime Mad Magazine artist and illustrator, he reached out to me on Instagram and said, hey, Robbie, me and my homie, we worked on Mad Magazine for a long time. We put our own book together of those Mad-style movie parodies called Claptrap. Can I send you a copy for a review? And I was like, absolutely. So this has got like parodies of Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, Shawshank Redemption, Psycho, Goodfellas, Big Lebowski, Toy Story 4, Unforgiven, Blade Runner, The Blues Brothers, Princess Bride, Citizen Kane, and Die Hard. And it is straight up in that Mad Magazine style. It is exactly what it is. The lettering is like Mad Magazine. It's got all these all the compositions, the setups. Even like if you open it up, the first thing, like if you open up to the first one, this just took me back. So thank you so much, Tom, for reaching out. But like, here's the Blues Blunder, right? But you see the opening double page spread, all the people talking. This is straight up Mad Magazine stuff. It's in the style of Mad Magazine, but it is original. And I'm very excited to dive into this. So I will be doing a separate video on this. Illustrator cartoonist Tom Richmond is Mad Magazine's signature caricaturist of the 21st century, winning the prestigious NCS Reuben Award in 2011, which means he lost it all the other years. Writer Desmond Devlin's rib-tickling, knee-slapping, gut-busting, side-splitting, biting comedy has left many mad readers with catastrophic physical injuries. For 2 decades, Des and Tom produced more than 100 TV and movie takeoffs. With Claptrap, they've created their own all-new collection, satirizing 12 of the most beloved Hollywood classics ever. So it's a hardcover. It's $30. I'm going to be reading this and reporting. And Tom, you're the best, because Tom sent me with this little card saying thanks, Robbie, with his signature, and it's the Bonds. And I'm a huge James Bond fan, so that's awesome. So thank you so much. So let's review. All right, Claptrap. Definitely check this out, especially if you like the movie parodies from Mad Magazine. Times Squared, if you're a Howard Chaykin fan, that is a must-read. Penthouse Comics is out there if you're nasty. I know I sure am. All right, Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees came out last week, but man, it blew me away this week. Usagi Yojimbo, great self-contained issue. If you've never read an issue of Usagi, read this. That's all you need to know what it's like. Faceless in the Family, awesome conclusion. Alice Cooper, big dumb fun, and I had some big dumb fun with it. Vampirella 666 just didn't quite work for me. Christopher Chaos, though, really liking that book. Cover of the week to David Mack, but the runner-up for Jim Rugg on his Dutch variant cover. But this cover just blows me away. I want a print of this so I can just put it up. I love that. The Displaced might be your sleeper hit of the week. Really like this concept. Really like these characters, and the smell of the week. Blade continues to impress. Fall of the House of X is falling for me. I'm probably out of that one. Amazing Spider-Man is Amazing Spider-Man. Miles Morales Spider-Man, though, pretty solid. Moon Knight rocks. Really like that issue. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver didn't do it for me. I'm so happy we got a Night Thrasher book, but I am disappointed severely. Batman City of Madness, great arc and a satisfying conclusion. Wesley Dodds Sandman, like this pulpy take on our Golden Age hero. We got Green Lantern, really widening the scale of this book, and Jessica Cruz on that cover. Outsiders doing the best planetary that Outsiders can do. Really like that, introducing us to the new spirit of the 21st century. Batman and Robin, Josh Williamson's really nailing that relationship between Bruce and Damian. Action Comics had a little bit of a step down from the last issue, but still pretty exciting. Batman, some interesting ideas that kind of get resolved way too quickly, so we'll see how that develops. Red Hood the Hill, felt like there was a little something missing there. Could have been me not reading that Zero issue soon enough. Sinister Sons, if you like Super Sons, it's kind of like that, but a little bit more silly, but it's still fun. Scourge took a little bit of a step down, leaning into tying into 350 of Spawn. Our Bones Dust, though, just keeps solidifying and getting better. I Hate Fairyland is one big Taylor Swift fart joke, but that was fine. Blood Commandment, a really great exploration through a vampire story of religion, faith, and family. Really cool stuff there. And Sacrifice. Petrol Head, a little bit of a step down there, but still some exciting artwork. Deviant, though, soars. Love that. A little disappointed in the Joe Hill's Wolverton Station Creepshow. Cabinet was just... I just did not like that one. Dutch, though, I really did like, and Jim Ruggs got that awesome variant. The Infernals was really surprising. I liked this book a lot. But the pick of the week goes to Transformers again. Daniel Warren Johnson, savior of the industry? I don't know. There's many saviors working right now. They're working overtime. They're working hard, and we're starting to notice it. Anyway, thank you so much for checking out the video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and comment below anything that you read. What are you reading? What are you digging? Let us know in the comments down below. I've been Rockin' Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Station. Keep on reading. Pop, pop, boom!